Have you ever caught yourself wondering why love feels like a chase? Why you're always craving connection? But when it finally shows up, something inside you hesitates. Like there's a wall you didn't even know you built. You might think you're ready for love, but your actions say something else. You date, you flirt, you talk about your feelings. But when someone gets emotionally close, you pull back. You distract yourself. You become cold. You start questioning everything, even if nothing's wrong. Here's the thing. Emotional unavailability doesn't always look like avoidance. Sometimes it wears the mask of independence. Sometimes it looks like just being picky. Sometimes it hides behind high standards, or being too busy, or falling only for people who are complicated. In this video, we're diving deep. We're going to uncover 6 signs you're emotionally unavailable, even if you believe you're not. These signs are subtle, sneaky, wrapped in logic, but they're sabotaging your chances at real, deep, lasting love. And once you start seeing them in yourself, that's the moment everything begins to shift. So let's get into it. Sign number 1, you keep falling for emotionally unavailable people. It's not just bad luck. If you constantly find yourself in one-sided relationships, the kind where you're doing all the emotional heavy lifting, it's not random. It's a mirror. We subconsciously choose partners who reflect parts of ourselves we haven't fully faced. So if you're emotionally unavailable, you're likely to be drawn to people who can't or won't give you the love you say you want. Why? Because it feels safe. Pursuing someone who can't fully love you means you never have to be fully vulnerable. You never have to risk being truly seen. You're always trying to win them over, which keeps the attention off of you. Here's how this usually shows up. You fall for people who have potential but are emotionally distant. You become obsessed with fixing or saving someone. You convince yourself that love means working hard to earn it. You mistake emotional unavailability for mystery, depth, or intensity. But what you're actually doing is chasing people who help you avoid your own fears. Because when love is mutual and easy, you panic. You start self-sabotaging. You lose interest. If healthy love feels boring to you, it might be because your nervous system is addicted to emotional chaos. And the first step in healing that cycle is recognizing that maybe the reason love hasn't worked yet isn't just about them. It's about what you keep unconsciously choosing. Sign number 2, you feel bored when things are calm. You know this one. You meet someone kind, emotionally present, thoughtful, and honest. They communicate. They don't play games. They make you feel seen. But after a few weeks, you start to feel off, restless, bored, uninspired. You start nitpicking. They're too nice. You don't feel a spark. You convince yourself they're just not your type. But what if that's not true? What if your type is actually dysregulation, not chemistry? What if your body is used to love feeling unpredictable, anxiety-inducing, like walking on eggshells? Then calm, healthy love? It won't feel exciting, it'll feel wrong. Not because it is wrong, but because your nervous system doesn't know how to relax in the presence of safety. This happens a lot when you grew up in environments where love was conditional, where caretakers were inconsistent, emotionally absent, or hot and cold. Your brain wires love with anxiety, not peace. So when you finally meet someone who doesn't trigger that roller coaster, you interpret it as boredom. But here's the shift. Boredom isn't the problem, it's the absence of anxiety you've mistaken for lack of love. Healthy love feels calm, predictable, gentle, grounded. The work here is learning to trust what's safe, not run from it. Sign number 3, you intellectualize your emotions. You can describe your trauma. You can explain your past. You know the vocabulary, boundaries, attachment styles in a child reparenting. You sound self-aware. Maybe you even help others unpack their emotional struggles. But when someone turns the attention on you, when they ask how you feel, when they want to connect with your heart, not just your mind, you deflect. You joke. You change the subject. Or you shut down completely. This is emotional unavailability in disguise. It's the difference between knowing your feelings and feeling your feelings. Intellectualizing is a survival tool. It gives you the illusion of control. You get to talk about emotions while staying disconnected from their impact. You might say things like, I just don't do emotions. I'm not good at talking about feelings. I've already processed that. But the real truth is you don't feel safe letting anyone into your emotional world. And understandably so, maybe it was never safe growing up. Maybe vulnerability was punished or ignored. So now you live in your head. You overanalyze. You overthink. You stay busy solving problems instead of just feeling. But love doesn't happen in your head. It happens when you let someone see the real you, not just the curated, self-aware version. Emotional intimacy begins where the intellectual armor ends. Sign number 4, you're always too busy. Let's talk about the I'm too busy syndrome. Because this one is sneaky. It sounds reasonable. It's wrapped in ambition, independence, goals. You tell yourself, I'm just focused on my career right now. I need to get my life together first. I don't want distractions. And sure, sometimes those things are true. But when you're always too busy for emotional closeness, when you consistently push people away with your packed schedule, and read messages, and I'm just not in a place for this right now responses, you're not protecting your goals. You're protecting your heart. Busyness becomes a defense mechanism. Because when you slow down, even for a moment, that quiet creeps in. And with it, the discomfort, the loneliness, the vulnerability you don't want to face. So you overwork, overfunction, overfill your calendar, all to avoid the emotional intimacy that feels too raw. But here's what emotional availability looks like. Making space for connection. Letting someone into your actual life. Choosing intimacy even when it's inconvenient. Not all the time. Not perfectly. But consistently. If your life has no room for love, it's not a logistics issue, it's a protection issue. And until you get honest about that, no one will ever feel fully welcome in your world. Sign number 5, you need to stay in control. You hate the unknown. You need to manage how you're seen. You'd rather ghost than say I'm scared. You always wait for them to reach out first. You protect your vulnerability like it's a weakness. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Control is how emotionally unavailable people stay safe. You avoid saying how you feel unless you're 100% sure it will be received well. You keep score. You create invisible rules in your head. If they don't text back in 2 hours, I'm done. You pretend to be casual when you're deeply invested. You act unbothered when you're actually anxious. It's exhausting. But it keeps you from getting hurt. Or at least, that's the illusion. What it actually does It keeps you from being known. And if you're never known, you can't be truly loved, only performed for. Real connection doesn't come from control. It comes from allowing someone to see the unfiltered version of you, even when that's scary. You don't have to drop every boundary. But ask yourself, is my desire for control stopping me from experiencing real closeness? Because vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the only way someone can actually touch your heart. Sign number 6, you're waiting for the right person to make you open up. This is the one that feels the most convincing. You tell yourself, I'm not emotionally unavailable, I just haven't met someone worth opening up for. Or I'll let my guard down when someone proves they won't hurt me. But emotional availability isn't something you give to the right person. It's a way of being. It's a decision you make with yourself before anyone else enters the picture. Because here's the trap. If you're waiting for someone perfect, you'll never let anyone in. You'll keep finding flaws, pushing people away, sabotaging connection when it starts feeling too real. And what's underneath that? Fear. Fear of being known. Fear of being rejected. Fear of showing your whole self and not being enough. So instead of healing, you blame timing. Blame them. Blame the apps, the city, the universe. But deep down, you know it's not about them. It's about what you still haven't allowed yourself to feel. The work begins not with finding the right person, but with becoming the version of you who no longer hides from love. If any of these signs felt uncomfortably familiar, that's not a reason to feel ashamed. It's a reason to feel seen. Emotional unavailability is a shield. You picked it up for a reason. Maybe life taught you that being vulnerable led to pain. Maybe connection never felt safe. Maybe love always came with conditions. But here's the truth. You can't heal what you won't look at. And now, you're looking. So what comes next? Awareness. Compassion. And choice. You get to choose differently now. To soften. To show up. To feel, even when it's scary. Because emotional availability isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. And real. And that version of love, the kind where you show up as you are and still feel worthy of being loved, that's the kind that lasts. Which of these 6 signs resonated most with you? Let me know in the comments. Someone else might be feeling the exact same way. If this video helped you see yourself more clearly, share it with a friend who's also ready to grow. And if you're on a journey toward deeper love and self-awareness, make sure to subscribe. This is just the beginning.